The prophet Ezekiel was given a divine war map for the end times. He was told to set his face against a mysterious leader from the far north named Gog, who would lead a coalition including Persia. For centuries, this prophecy was a mystery. But today, with Russia asserting its power and forming deep alliances with Iran, that ancient map is becoming terrifyingly clear. The identity of the Northern Army is no longer a secret. To understand this prophecy, we must go to the source, the book of Ezekiel, chapter 38. Ezekiel, a prophet in exile in Babylon, received a stunning vision from God detailing a great war in the latter years. God commands him, "Son of man, set your face against Gog of the land of Magog, the chief prince of Rosh, Meshech, and Tubal, and prophesy against him." This is not a vague warning. It is a divine intelligence brief, naming specific leaders and nations. For centuries, theologians and historians have worked to decode these ancient names. The leader is a man named Gog. He comes from the land of Magog. Ancient historians like Josephus and Herodotus identified the people of Magog with the Scythians, a fierce and powerful confederation of nomadic horse warriors renowned for their archery who dominated the Eurasian steppes north of the Black Sea, the very heartland of modern Russia and its surrounding territories. But the text gets even more specific, calling Gog the prince of Rosh, Meshech, and Tubal. While some translations render Rosh as the adjective chief, many Hebrew scholars and prophecy experts argue that it should be treated as a proper noun. In this context, Rosh is considered the most ancient root word for the people who would become the Rus and ultimately Russia. This interpretation is powerfully supported by the geography, as the text repeatedly refers to this coalition coming from the uttermost parts of the north. When you combine these clues, the land of Magog, the Scythian connection, and the proper noun Rosh, the scripture, written 2,500 years ago, points with startling clarity to a powerful leader emerging from the region of Russia. The identity of the commander of this great northern army begins to crystallize. The prophecy in Ezekiel 38 does not just identify the leader from the north, it provides a detailed roster of the nations that will join his coalition. This is where the connection between Russia and the Middle East becomes explicit and undeniable. Verse 5 states, "Persia, Cush, and Put are with them, all of them with shield and helmet." Let's break this down. First and most critically, Persia. This is, without historical dispute, the ancient name for Iran. The very same nation from the stories of Cyrus and Esther is explicitly named as a key partner in this end times invasion force. Next, the prophecy lists Cush and Put, which historians consistently identify with the territories of modern Sudan, Ethiopia, and Libya. Finally, the text adds Gomer and all its troops, and Beth Togarmah from the far north, which scholars often associate with modern Turkey. What makes this ancient roster so chilling is how closely it mirrors the geopolitical alliances forming on our news screens today. In recent years, the world has watched the strategic partnership between Russia and Iran deepen, with shared military objectives in places like Syria and increasing economic cooperation. We have seen the complex but growing relationship between Russia and Turkey, a NATO member, who have cooperated on energy pipelines and military hardware, often to the frustration of the West. Simultaneously, Russia has been extending its influence across North Africa, building new relationships in nations like Libya. What we are witnessing is not random political maneuvering. It is the potential stage setting for the fulfillment of an ancient prophecy. The exact coalition of nations that Ezekiel named 2,500 years ago is, for the first time in modern history, forming a network of alliances. The ancient war map is aligning with our modern world. Now that we have identified the players on this prophetic chessboard, we must ask the critical question: why? Why does this massive confederation from the north decide to march on the tiny nation of Israel? The Bible states the motive clearly, and it is a primal one: greed. In Ezekiel chapter 38, the invading leader, Gog, thinks to himself, "I will go up against a land of unwalled villages to seize spoil and to capture plunder." For centuries, this was a puzzle, but today the great plunder of Israel is on full display. The nation has become a global technology superpower, a hub of innovation, often called Silicon Valley, leading the world in cybersecurity, AI, and medical technology. More critically, they have discovered immense offshore natural gas reserves in the Leviathan and Tamar fields, making Israel a new and crucial player in the world's energy market, a direct strategic prize for a resource-hungry power like Russia. Israel has literally made the desert bloom, creating immense agricultural wealth. They are, in the 21st century, a nation of vast and tempting spoil. But this raises a paradox. The prophecy states this invasion happens when Israel is dwelling securely in unwalled villages. How can this be true of one of the most heavily fortified nations on earth, protected by the Iron Dome, sophisticated intelligence, and a powerful military? Prophecy scholars point to two chilling possibilities. The first is that a future comprehensive peace treaty lulls Israel into a false sense of security, causing them to lower their guard. The second interpretation is even more profound, that their security is an illusion. Perhaps their immense pride and trust in their own military and technological walls has made them spiritually complacent. In this view, God allows the invasion to shatter their false sense of security and to show them and the world that their only true protector is not the Iron Dome, but the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So the stage is set. A massive coalition descends upon Israel to seize its wealth. But this is where the prophecy pivots from a geopolitical thriller to a story of divine judgment. The army does not face the military of Israel. It faces the fury of God himself. In Ezekiel 38, God proclaims, "On that day when Gog comes against the land of Israel, my burning anger will be aroused." What follows is not a conventional war, but a supernatural dismantling. God unleashes a great earthquake, turns the army against itself in confusion, and then rains down judgment from the heavens. Flooding rain, great hailstones, fire, and sulfur.
This is a divine execution on a global stage. But why does God intervene in such a direct and terrifying manner? He tells us plainly, this event is not just about saving Israel, it is about revealing himself to the entire world. In Ezekiel 38, verse 23, God declares his purpose, "And so I will show my greatness and my holiness, and I will make myself known in the sight of many nations. Then they will know that I am the Lord." It is a global announcement of his power, designed to shatter the pride of man. There is a second, more intimate purpose. This event is also for the sake of Israel itself. For centuries they had been scattered and disciplined. This divine intervention is designed to be the ultimate wake-up call. As God says in the aftermath, "I will make my holy name known in the midst of my people Israel, so the house of Israel shall know that I am the Lord their God from that day forward." It is a dramatic act of restoration designed to turn the hearts of his people back to him once and for all. The divine judgment is absolute, but the prophecy does not end there. Ezekiel 39 describes the aftermath, and its scale is almost incomprehensible, designed to leave an indelible mark on both Israel and the world. The first task is a grisly one: cleansing the land. The number of the dead in the invading army is so vast that the Bible states it will take the house of Israel 7 full months to bury the bodies. This act is so significant that God designates a specific burial place, a valley which will be renamed Magog, the Valley of the Hordes of Gog. This is not merely a grave site. It is a permanent landmark, a monument to the staggering defeat of those who come against God's people. It becomes a geographic testimony etched into the very map of Israel as a perpetual warning of the consequence of defying the God of Israel. But the prophecy reveals a second, even astonishing consequence: the abandoned military hardware of the defeated army, what Ezekiel describes as the shields and bucklers, the bows and arrows, the javelins and spears, will be so plentiful that they will serve as fuel for the nation for 7 full years. Think of the profound symbolism. The complete arsenal of this mighty army is rendered utterly useless. It is reduced to mere kindling. The very instruments of war brought to destroy Israel will instead be used to warm their homes and cook their food. It is the ultimate reversal, a tangible symbol of God turning a curse into a blessing. The sheer scale of this cleanup, 7 months for the bodies, 7 years for the weapons, serves as a lasting physical testimony to the magnitude of God's victory. So let us put the pieces of this divine war map together. The Bible prophesies a massive late days invasion of Israel. The leader of this invasion is a figure named Gog, the Prince of Rosh, a title that points directly to a leader from modern-day Russia. This leader will forge a great coalition, and explicitly named among his key allies are Persia, Iran, and Togarmah, Turkey. Their stated motive will be to seize Israel's great wealth and plunder, and they will attack at a time when Israel feels deceptively secure. But their ultimate purpose, unknown to them, is to be the unwilling actors in a divine drama. They are drawn to the mountains of Israel by the hooks of God himself, not for victory, but for judgment. For thousands of years, this prophecy was a historical and geographical mystery. But in our generation, for the first time, the specific alliances it describes have begun to materialize. The strategic partnership between Russia, Iran, and Turkey is no longer a prophetic theory. It is a geopolitical reality that dominates our headlines. The ancient puzzle pieces are clicking into place with stunning and sobering precision. This knowledge is not meant to create fear, but to create discernment. It is a call for the watcher to understand that the chaos of our world is not random. The rise of this northern army is not a sign that God has lost control. It is a sign that He is asserting it, moving the nations exactly as His word declared He would, all to set the stage for a final, global revelation of His power and glory. The war map has been revealed. The armies of the north are gathering, and the hooks are in their jaws. The final conflict described by Ezekiel is not a distant myth, but a coming reality whose shadow already stretches over our world. The only question that remains is not if, but when the command is given to march.
This briefing is now complete, but the investigation never ends. To ensure you receive all future declassifications, be sure to subscribe and activate the notification bell. Like this video to signal its importance, and share it with others who are ready to look beyond the headlines. Leave your own intel in the comments below, because there is still much more to declassify.